Hello everyone, it's Lorica here. If my voice is a bit odd, I've been a bit sick. Understatement. I've decided I've had enough of that now. I am just going to think myself healthy. It's time to talk about what I've done in October and what I plan for November in terms of reading and a little bit of writing. So, October, the one thing that stands out for me in October when it comes to reading is a book that I got completely obsessed with. And it's called Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I just want to interrupt this review because I forgot to say that I buddy read Frankenstein with Tracy from Nordic Lights, and it was such a great experience. I'll link her video below where she talked about it. So thank you, Tracy, for reading Frankenstein with me. And yes, I made a video of it, which I will put in the comments below, where I also talk quite a bit about Mary Shelley's life. But this book really, this book was just brilliant and genius. And she was so young when she wrote this book, and it formed so much a part of our culture, right? Today, everybody knows about Victor Frankenstein, who made this creature, or monster, as people call it. And she called it in her book as well. And it was a book that really threw me completely. As I read it, I was angry, I was sad, I was very all over the place. But through it all is this really good writing. So it was a fantastic book. So I recommend it 100%. Watch my video and you will hear all my responses. The second book I read is called, let's open it. It was a Kindle book, and it was called The Diary of Mattie Spencer, and it's written by Sandra Dallas. You can see that. What an interesting book this was. I have this thing about pioneers, about people that just take their wagons and go into the hinterland and then make a new life for themselves. And this book is about that. It takes place in the US. It's about this woman called Mattie Spencer, and she and her husband goes into like the Colorado area on their wagon, and they're making a new life, and it's tough. And it's all about that, and it is written in form of a diary. Very, very, very good book. And I think I like these pioneer type books because of my heritage and my culture, coming from the Afrikaner tradition, where the Afrikaners went on what we call the Groot Trek, which is the Great Trek. And they took their ox wagons with some oxen and put everything they had on it and went into the hinterland. They wanted to kind of rule themselves and not be under any governmental laws. So what is fascinating for me about that and these kind of stories is, especially in South Africa, is you had these mountains and wild animals and pure and absolute nothingness. And these people took their wagons and their oxen across mountains, through valleys, rivers. I mean, I don't know how much guts they had to do this. So I'm always curious about it. I mean, the mountains were so high at times that they had to take the wagons apart and carry it over because it was just unable to do it any other way. So it's like Wow, isn't that amazing? So I've always have a soft spot for these kind of pioneer stories because I feel very close to them. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Um, American version. So yeah. And then the third book I read, or didn't read, I'm about, shall I say, a quarter of the way through, or maybe closer to a third, is The Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. And I've been reading this book now for 2 months, and I'm only a third. So I've decided to do myself a favor and the author and pause with it. I'm going to put it back on the shelf. I'm actually reading it for the Candy Reading Challenge. And it's not that I don't enjoy it. I really enjoy the book. It's great writing. It's a good story. I've watched the series. I really like it. But for some reason, I'm just not getting into this book. So I've decided I'm going to get back to it because it's really a good book, but the timing is not right. And therefore, I'm 2 months behind with this Candy Reading Challenge from Candy, from the Great Literary Rabbit Hole. So I think, I'm behind from September and October because I decided to do this over the 2 months and I haven't done it. The reason I haven't done so much reading this month is I've been working on other things. I done quite a lot on my own work and my own research and writing. And if you hear coughing, my husband's also pretty sick. So this is a sick house at the moment. Anyway, I did this thing called a literature timeline, authors, books, and world events, because I'm curious about what literature comes out at, and why it comes out or gets published or written at certain times. And so I created this document for myself. I did some research. I looked at some world events, and I worked from mainly from the 1800s, but there is from before as well, from the 1700s, quite a few. And I have columns which are the date, and then world events that happened in that year, and then books that got published in that year. So you can see maybe a little here. It's really curious for me to see how many great books were written in the same year. For example, what happened, for example, during the Great Depression, what books came out around that time, and just general history as to what happened across timelines, So yeah, I've got this just for myself, personal reference. So I work quite a bit on that during October. And as I read books and discover books, I update it and add it in. So it's a evolving document. And then the other thing that I've also worked on is my third book that I published in 2021 is called Four Windows, and it's a book about places. And I really love this book. It's just a little book that's has some images in it, and I just love this book. And I only did it in print because I have some images in it and I wasn't too keen on how it looked on ebook, but I decided to put it in ebook. So now I've just published an ebook version of the Four Windows, so I'll link it below. I love this little book, so there it is. So I worked on that this month, and I'm also starting a new project, a new writing project for myself, which could potentially become a book. And for that, I'm doing quite a bit of research, and I'm reading some of my other favorite books, rereading because they so inspire me. So one of the things, firstly, I'm reading a research paper that was done by a master's student about Afrikaans-speaking witches, because it's such a interesting concept, the Afrikaner witch, because, Afrikaners generally are very Christian, comes from a very Calvinistic background. So anything to do with witchcraft is like a big no. And so this woman did her research for her master's on Afrikaner witches. So I'm busy. I printed it out, and so I'm reading it and just making notes there for a possible novel, and then I also took out 3 of my books that always inspire me to write and that might help me with this book that I'm rereading now. The first is Wool Gathering from Patti Smith, just because the style of writing in this, it's one of those little books. It's probably almost my favorite book of all time. It's just very short books and things, short notes in the book. Just a beautiful, beautiful little book. And the reason I like this book is you're not sure if it's real or if it's fairy tale like, but it is real. It's about her life, especially in her youth, and her imagination that she had, and how she saw her life as a young child. And it's so beautiful. Every time I start reading this book, I cry. Because it's beautiful, not because it's sad. It's just I love this book. So that's always an inspiration, because I love how she writes about how she sees the world and puts it into words. It's beautiful. The second book is from Haruki Murakami, and it's Kafka on the Shore. Also one of my favorite books. And I'm just also rereading this one because I like this for inspiration for what I'm working on, as how Murakami writes about magic, but not witching, but just real and not real. And he puts it together so beautifully that you're not sure about the world. The world is in here, but it's not. It's not fantasy. Magical realism, right? So this is always an inspiration for me, and I think especially for what I'm looking at writing, I think it will be really very inspiring to just read his style again and get into Murakami's world. And the last one is a book I mention almost every video, and it's called The Highland Witch by Susan Fletcher. And the reason I'm choosing this book is it's of course about a witch, and she's locked up in a prison for witchcraft. But doesn't necessarily have, it's not fantasy in terms that it's a book about a witch that has these powers. She has some intuition, but she's just a normal young woman. And what I find inspiring about this book is the gentleness of the witch and the kindness of the witch. And traditionally, witches are always seen as evil and worshipping of Satan and all of that. So these 3 books together, I'm re-looking at them and getting inspired by them for the idea of what I want to write. And then combine that with the research project on Afrikaner witches, and you can get an idea of where I'm going. But we'll see if it works out or not. So that was my reading for October and my plans for November. Obviously, for November, I'm doing the Candy Reading Challenge, right? But I think I might not do it this month because I'm so into my writing project that I don't want to interrupt that. When it happens, it happens. So I might pause with it. But I had a book. It's in my bookshelf. I didn't take it out, but it's called The Theatre of Marvels that I was going to read. So I'll see how the month goes. I might pick it up. But for now, I'm just looking at focusing on my own work. So, yeah, I wish you a wonderful November. Have you read any of these books? Tell me if you have, what you thought about them. And yeah, I will speak to you soon. Bye.